My sister banned me from Christmas because I was too weird for her perfect party. I spent that holiday crying alone. I cut my family off for 9 years and built a completely new life. Then one unexpected phone call from my mother revealed the truth about that night and changed everything I believed. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we bring you the most emotional, shocking, and unforgettable stories from Reddit and beyond. Today's story is about a woman who was banned from Christmas by her own sister for not fitting in, for being awkward, for dressing weird, for simply being herself. She spent that Christmas alone, crying. And then she didn't contact her family for 9 years. But when her mother finally called, the truth about that night changed everything. If you believe in the power of self-worth and the complexity of family, hit that like button, subscribe so you never miss a story, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. This one cuts deep. Let's begin. I was 23 years old when my sister banned me from Christmas. 23, still figuring out who I was, still trying to find my place in a world that never seemed to make room for people like me. I'd always been the odd one in my family, the quiet one, the strange one, the one who dressed differently and thought differently and didn't quite fit the mold they'd built for their perfect little unit. My sister, Claire, was the golden child. 2 years older than me, she was everything our parents wanted: beautiful, outgoing, popular, successful. She'd married her high school sweetheart, bought a house in the suburbs, produced 2 perfect children, and hosted the perfect holiday gatherings that our parents bragged about to all their friends. She was the sun, and the rest of us just orbited around her, grateful for whatever warmth she deigned to give. I was the opposite. I was an artist, or trying to be, anyway. I worked at a coffee shop during the day and painted at night, filling my tiny apartment with canvases that no one would ever buy. I dressed in thrift store finds, vintage pieces that I altered and personalized, creating a style that was entirely mine. I was quiet at family gatherings, not because I was rude, but because I never knew what to say. The conversations they had, about mortgages and school districts and whose kid was winning at which sport, were foreign to me, a language I couldn't speak. I tried sometimes. I'd ask questions, try to engage, offer opinions. But my attempts always felt awkward, forced, like I was reading from a script I didn't understand. And my family's responses, the polite smiles, the quick subject changes, the way they'd subtly turn away from me towards someone more interesting, made it clear that my efforts weren't welcome. I was the weird one, the awkward one, the one who didn't fit. I'd accepted that mostly. I had my own life, my own friends, my own little world where I was valued and understood. But holidays were hard. Holidays meant forced proximity, meant pretending to be someone I wasn't, meant enduring hours of feeling like an outsider in the only family I had. That year, Christmas was at Claire's house. She'd bought a new place, a beautiful colonial in an upscale neighborhood, and she was hosting for the first time. The invitation had come weeks in advance, a group text to the family chat, with details about timing, potluck assignments, and a note about dress code that made my stomach clench. Dress code, festive but classy. No weird stuff, please. Let's keep it normal for the kids. No weird stuff. That was code for don't dress like yourself. For don't embarrass us in front of the neighbors. For please, for once, just try to be normal. I spent days agonizing over what to wear. I wanted to be myself, but I also wanted to avoid conflict. I finally settled on a simple velvet dress in deep green, classic, understated, something no one could possibly object to. I even bought new shoes, plain black flats, instead of the vintage boots I usually wore. I thought I'd done enough. I thought I'd be okay. The day before Christmas Eve, I got a text from Claire. Hey, can we talk? I called her immediately, my heart pounding with a dread I couldn't explain. What's up? She sighed, that long-suffering sigh she'd perfected over the years. Look, I need to be honest with you. About Christmas. Okay. The thing is, we're having a lot of people this year. Mark's parents are coming, and his sister and her family, and some of our neighbors. It's going to be a full house. And I don't think it's going to work with you there. I felt the world tilt beneath me. What do you mean? I mean, you're awkward, okay? You dress weird. You say strange things. You make people uncomfortable. I've tried to be nice about it, but I can't keep making excuses for you. This is my house, my party, and I need it to go smoothly. I can't have you there ruining the vibe. Ruining the vibe. I was being banned from Christmas for ruining the vibe. Claire, I'm sorry, but it's for the best. Mom and Dad agree. They said you'd probably be more comfortable anyway, not having to pretend to be something you're not. So just stay home this year. We'll do something separate sometime, just the family. Okay. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. I just stood there, phone pressed to my ear, tears streaming down my face. Okay. I whispered finally. Okay. Great. Talk to you after the holidays. Bye. She hung up. I stood there for a long time, frozen, until my legs gave out and I sank to the floor. Christmas came. I spent it alone in my apartment, curtains drawn, phone off. I didn't eat. I didn't paint. I just lay on my couch, staring at the ceiling, crying until I had no tears left. I thought about calling my parents, asking them to intervene. But Claire had said they agreed with her. They thought I'd be more comfortable not coming. They'd chosen her, as they always had. I thought about my brother, Mark, the youngest of us three. He and I had been close once, before he got married and moved away. But he was at Claire's too, probably, with his wife and kids, not thinking about me at all. I was alone. Completely, utterly alone. That night, something shifted inside me. The pain didn't go away. It was still there, sharp and raw. But underneath it, something else began to grow. Something harder. Something colder. I made a decision. I would never contact them again. Not Claire, not my parents, not Mark. If they didn't want me, fine. I didn't need them. I would build my own life, my own family, my own world. One where I wasn't the weird one, the awkward one, the one who didn't fit. I would become someone they couldn't ignore. Someone they'd regret rejecting. But first, I had to survive. The first year was the hardest. I went to work, came home, painted. I didn't answer calls from unknown numbers. I deleted texts without reading them. I changed my number, my email, my social media accounts. I became a ghost, disappearing from their lives as completely as they'd disappeared from mine. I started therapy. I talked about my family, about Claire, about the Christmas I wasn't allowed. My therapist helped me see that their rejection wasn't about me. It was about them. Their need for conformity, their fear of difference, their inability to love someone who didn't fit their narrow definition of acceptable. You are not the problem, she said. You never were. The problem is that they couldn't see your worth. And that's their loss, not yours. I started believing her. I threw myself into my art. I painted constantly, obsessively, pouring all my pain and anger and longing onto canvas. I started selling pieces online, then in local galleries. I got a studio space, then a reputation. My work was called haunting, beautiful, unforgettable. Critics wrote about me. Collectors bought my pieces. I was becoming someone. Year 2, I moved to a bigger city, New York. The art scene there was everything I dreamed of, vibrant, chaotic, full of people who were just as weird as me. I found my tribe there, other artists and creators who celebrated difference instead of punishing it. I started exhibiting in galleries, selling to serious collectors, making a name for myself. Year 3, I had my first solo show. It sold out opening night. I stood in the gallery, surrounded by strangers who loved my work, and felt something I'd never felt before, belonging. Year 4, I was featured in a major art magazine. The article called me one of the most exciting emerging artists of her generation. I framed a copy and hung it in my studio, next to a photo of myself on that lonely Christmas, crying on my couch. A reminder of how far I'd come. Year 5, I bought a house. A real house, with a garden and a studio and room for the life I was building. I adopted a dog, a scruffy rescue mutt who loved me unconditionally. I started dating, carefully, cautiously, and found someone who saw me, really saw me, and loved what they saw. His name was Daniel. He was a writer, quiet and kind and brilliant. He didn't think I was weird. He thought I was wonderful. Year 6, we moved in together. Year 7, we got engaged. Year 8, we got married in a small ceremony with our chosen family, friends who'd become closer than blood, who loved us for who we were, not who they wanted us to be. Year 9, I got a call. It was from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello, sweetheart. It's Mom. I froze. 9 years. 9 years of silence. And now her voice, exactly as I remembered it. Mom. Yes, honey. It's me. I need to talk to you. It's important. I sat down, my heart pounding. What's wrong? Your father is sick. Very sick. Cancer. He doesn't have much time left. The words hit me like a physical blow. My father, the man who'd agreed with Claire, who'd thought I was too awkward for Christmas, who'd let his daughter banish me without a word of protest. He was dying. He wants to see you, she continued. We both do. Please, sweetheart, come home. I didn't know what to say. 9 years of silence, of pain, of building a new life, and now this. I need to think about it, I said finally. I'll call you back. I hung up and sat in stunned silence. Daniel found me there an hour later, still staring at the wall. What happened? He asked gently. I told him. Everything. The call, the news, the flood of memories and emotions I'd spent 9 years trying to bury. He held me while I cried. Then he said, whatever you decide, I'm with you. We'll go together, if you want. Or we'll stay here. Your choice. I thought about it for days. I talked to my therapist. I talked to Daniel. I talked to myself in the mirror, trying to figure out what I wanted, what I needed, what was right. In the end, I decided to go. Not for them, for me. To close the circle. To face the ghosts I'd been running from. To finally, after 9 years, see the people who'd rejected me and show them who I'd become. Daniel came with me. We flew to my hometown, rented a car, drove to the hospital where my father was dying. My hands shook the whole way. He was in a private room, hooked up to machines, looking smaller and frielier than I'd ever seen him. My mother was there, and Claire, and Mark. They all looked up when I walked in. My mother gasped. Claire's face went pale. Mark just stared. Sweetheart, my mother whispered, reaching for me. You came. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. My father opened his eyes. He looked at me for a long moment, and then tears spilled down his cheeks. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I walked to his bedside and took his hand. It was cold, brittle, nothing like the strong hands I remembered from childhood. Hi, Dad, I said quietly. We talked for a while, small things, safe things. He asked about my life, my work, my husband. I told him, briefly, about the art, the success, the happiness I'd found. He listened, and I saw something in his eyes that I'd never seen before. Pride. Claire hovered in the background, silent and uncomfortable. She looked older now, tired, the perfect life she'd built showing cracks I hadn't noticed before. Her marriage, I learned later, had ended in divorce. Her kids were struggling. Her perfect world had fallen apart. I didn't feel satisfaction at that. I didn't feel anything but a distant sadness. After a while, my father fell asleep. I stepped out into the hallway, needing air. Claire followed me. Can we talk? She asked. I nodded, not sure what to expect. She led me to a small waiting room, empty except for us. We sat across from each other, the distance between us feeling like miles. I owe you an apology, she said. A real one. Not just words, but everything. I waited. That Christmas. What I said to you. The way I treated you. It was wrong. It was cruel. And I've regretted it every single day since. Why did you do it? I asked. Why did you hate me so much? She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. I didn't hate you. I hated myself. I was so insecure, so terrified of not being perfect, that I took it out on you. You were different, and different scared me. It reminded me of everything I was trying not to be. I stared at her, trying to process this. You were brave enough to be yourself, she continued. And I was too scared to do that. So I pushed you away. I made you the problem, so I wouldn't have to look at myself. It was easier to blame you than to face my own failures. She wiped her eyes, but the tears kept coming. After you left, everything fell apart. My marriage, my friendships, my whole perfect life. I realized that I'd built everything on sand, on appearances, on what other people thought. And when it crumbled, there was nothing left. No one left. Because I'd pushed everyone away, including you. I sat there, listening, feeling the weight of 9 years of pain slowly begin to shift. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said. I don't deserve it. But I needed you to know the truth. I needed you to know that it wasn't your fault. It was never your fault. You were just being yourself, and I couldn't handle that because I didn't know who I was. I thought about my therapist's words all those years ago. You are not the problem. You never were. I hear you, I said finally. I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate you telling me. Is there any chance we could try again? Not as sisters who pretend everything is fine, but as people who are honest about the past and want to build something new. I looked at her, this woman who'd caused me so much pain, who'd banned me from Christmas for being myself. She looked broken, humbled, real in a way she'd never been before. I don't know, I said honestly. I need time to think about it, to process everything. Take all the time you need, she said. I'm not going anywhere. My father died 3 days later. I was there, holding his hand, when he took his last breath. It was peaceful, quiet, nothing like the dramatic movie scenes I'd imagined. Just a gentle slipping away, a final exhale, and then silence. I cried, but not for him. For the relationship we never had, the years we lost, the father I'd needed and never truly gotten. My mother held me, and for the first time in 9 years, I let her. The funeral was small, family only. I stood with Daniel, surrounded by people who felt like strangers, and said goodbye to a man I'd spent 9 years not speaking to. It was surreal, painful, strangely beautiful. Afterward, we gathered at my mother's house, the house I'd grown up in, filled with memories I'd tried to forget. Claire was there, and Mark, and a few aunts and uncles. We ate casseroles and made small talk and pretended everything was normal. Then my mother pulled me aside. "There's something I need to give you," she said. "Something your father wanted you to have." She led me to his study, a room I'd rarely been allowed in as a child. She opened a drawer, pulled out a letter, and handed it to me. "He wrote this years ago," she said. "After you left. He never sent it. He was too proud, too scared. But he wanted you to have it now." I opened the letter with trembling hands. It was written in my father's familiar scrawl, the handwriting I'd seen on birthday cards and school permission slips. "My dearest daughter, I'm writing this because I don't know how to say it in person. I've never been good with words, especially when it comes to feelings. Your mother will tell you that's always been my problem. I need to tell you that I was wrong. About you, about Claire, about everything. I let your sister run things because it was easier than standing up to her. I let her ban you from Christmas because I didn't want to cause a scene. I told myself you'd be fine, that you were strong enough to handle it. But the truth is, I was a coward. I failed you. I've watched you from afar these 9 years. I've followed your career, your success, your happiness. I've clipped every article, saved every review. I'm so proud of you, more than I can say. You built a life without us, without my help or support, and you built it beautifully. You are stronger than I ever was. I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I love you. I've always loved you. I just didn't know how to show it. I hope someday you can forgive me. But more than that, I hope you know that you were never the problem. You were always enough. You were always worthy of love. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. All my love, Dad." I read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. All those years, thinking they didn't care, didn't see me, didn't love me. And he'd been watching all along. He'd been proud. But he never told me. He never reached out. He let pride and fear keep us apart. And now he was gone, and I'd never get those years back. I showed the letter to Daniel that night, in our hotel room. He held me while I cried. "He loved you," he said gently. "He just didn't know how to show it." "I know," I whispered. "But it's too late. It's all too late." "It's not too late for the others," he said. "Your mom, Claire. You still have time with them, if you want it." I thought about that. About Claire's apology, about my mother's tears, about the possibility of rebuilding something from the ruins of our family. The next day, I went to see Claire. We talked for hours, really talked, for the first time in our lives. About our childhood, our parents, our failures and fears and hopes. She told me about her divorce, her struggles, her journey toward understanding herself. I told her about my art, my marriage, my years of healing. By the end, we were both exhausted and tear-stained and, somehow, closer than we'd ever been. "I'd like to try," I said. "To be sisters. Really sisters." She nodded, crying. "I'd like that too. More than anything." I stayed in town for another week, spending time with my mother, getting to know her as an adult, as a person, not just a parent. She was different than I remembered. Softer, sadder, more real. We talked about my father, about their marriage, about the mistakes they'd made and the regrets they carried. "I'm sorry," she said one night, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset. "For not standing up for you. For letting Claire run things. For all of it." "I know, Mom. I know. I'm proud of you," she continued. "So proud. Your father was too. We both were. We didn't know how to say it." "I know that now," I said. "The letter helped." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "He loved you so much. He just couldn't show it. But he loved you." I believed her. Finally, after all these years, I believed her. I went back to New York with Daniel, back to my life, my art, my world. But something had shifted. The weight I'd been carrying for 9 years had lightened. The anger, the pain, the sense of being rejected, it was still there, but it no longer defined me. I started calling my mother regularly. We talked about small things at first, weather, recipes, neighborhood gossip. Then bigger things, her loneliness, my childhood, the father I'd lost. The conversations weren't always easy, but they were real. They were ours. Claire and I texted often. She sent photos of her kids, updates on her life. I sent photos of my art, my dog, my garden. We planned a visit, her coming to New York, me showing her my world. It felt strange and wonderful and terrifying, all at once. The first Christmas after my father's death, I got an invitation. It was from Claire. "I'm hosting again," she wrote. "And I want you here. Not because I feel guilty, but because I want you. You're my sister, and I love you. Please come. We're whatever you want. Be whoever you are." That's who I want at my table. I showed the invitation to Daniel. He smiled. "Are you going to go?" I thought about it. About that Christmas 9 years ago, alone in my apartment, crying. About the pain, the rejection, the years of silence. About Claire's apology, my mother's tears, my father's letter. About all the complicated, messy, beautiful work of forgiveness. "Yes," I said. "I'm going." We flew back to my hometown for Christmas. Claire's house was decorated beautifully. Twinkling lights, a towering tree, the smell of cookies and pine. Her kids ran to greet me, calling me Annie, showing me their presents. My mother was there, beaming. Mark and his family arrived, hugging me like I'd never been gone. And Claire. Claire took my hands, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us another chance. Thank you for asking," I said. Dinner was loud and chaotic and wonderful. I wore a vintage velvet jacket, thrifted and altered, with a sparkly brooch and mismatched earrings. No one commented. No one cared. I was just part of the family, accepted for who I was. After dinner, Claire pulled me aside. She handed me a small wrapped box. "Open it," she said. Inside was a photograph. The two of us as children, maybe 5 and 7, sitting on Santa's lap at the mall. We were both laughing, both happy, both free. "I found it in Mom's attic," Claire said. "I thought you should have it." I stared at the photo, tears pricking my eyes. 2 little girls, before everything went wrong. Before jealousy and insecurity and fear tore us apart. "Thank you," I whispered. "I'm going to spend the rest of my life making up for what I did," Claire said. "I know I can't undo the past, but I can be better going forward. I can be the sister you deserved all along." I hugged her tight. "You already are." That night, lying in bed next to Daniel, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. The pain, the rejection, the years of silence. The healing, the forgiveness, the unexpected gift of a second chance. Family is complicated. It's messy and painful and full of people who fail you, sometimes spectacularly. But it's also full of people who can grow, who can change, who can love you if you let them. I almost didn't let them. I almost stayed away forever, protected by my walls, safe in my solitude. But something, courage, curiosity, love, pulled me back. And I'm so glad it did. My father's letter sits on my nightstand now, next to the photo of Claire and me on Santa's lap. I read it sometimes, when I need to remember that love can exist even when it's not expressed. That people can be proud of you even when they don't know how to say it. That forgiveness is possible, even when it feels impossible. He's gone now, but his words remain. A gift from beyond, a reminder that I was always enough. The next year, I had a solo exhibition in a major gallery. My mother flew in for the opening, along with Claire and her kids. They stood in front of my paintings, tears in their eyes, and told me how proud they were. Not because they had to, but because they meant it. My work that year was about family, about the bonds that break and heal, the wounds that scar and fade, the love that persists even through the darkest times. Critics called it my most powerful collection yet. They didn't know the half of it. Daniel stood beside me, holding my hand, as we watched my family wander through the gallery. My mother stopped in front of a painting I'd done of that lonely Christmas, a small figure on a couch, surrounded by darkness, crying. She stared at it for a long time, then turned to me with tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. I walked to her and took her hand. "I know, Mom. I know. But look at you now. she said, gesturing at the room full of people, the beautiful art, the life I'd built. Look what you've become. I became this despite everything, I said. Not because of it, but maybe, in a strange way, because of it too. The pain made me stronger. The rejection made me fight. The loneliness made me find myself. She nodded, understanding. Claire came over with her kids, who were staring wide-eyed at the paintings. "Auntie, did you really paint all these?" the youngest asked. "I did," I said. "They're beautiful," she said. "I want to be an artist when I grow up." I knelt down to her level. "Then be an artist. Be whatever you want to be. Don't let anyone tell you you're too weird or too different. The world needs weird and different. The world needs people who aren't afraid to be themselves." She grinned, and I saw something in her eyes that reminded me of myself at that age. A spark, a fire, a determination to be seen. I hoped her family would nurture that spark, not extinguish it. I hoped they'd learn from their mistakes. That night, after the opening, we all gathered at my apartment. My mother, Claire and her kids, Daniel and me. We ordered pizza, drank wine, laughed and talked, and simply enjoyed being together. It was ordinary, unremarkable, perfect. Claire sat next to me on the couch, our shoulders touching. "Thank you," she said quietly, so only I could hear. "For what?" "For giving me a chance. For not giving up on me. For being the bigger person, even when I didn't deserve it." I leaned my head against hers. "You're my sister. That means something." "It does," she agreed. "It means everything." I thought about all the Christmases I'd spent alone, all the tears I'd cried, all the pain I'd carried. And I thought about this moment, warm and full and surrounded by people I loved. It was worth it. Every bit of it was worth it. The next morning, I woke up early and went for a walk. The city was quiet, covered in a fresh layer of snow. I walked through the park, past sleeping trees and frozen ponds, thinking about the journey that had brought me here. 9 years ago, I was alone, broken, sure that I'd never recover. Today, I was surrounded by love, by family, by a life I'd built with my own 2 hands. The pain hadn't disappeared. It was still there, a scar that would never fully fade. But it had transformed into something else: wisdom, strength, gratitude. Gratitude for the journey, for the lessons, for the people who'd hurt me and the people who'd healed me. I thought about my father, about his letter, about the love he'd never been able to express. I hoped he could see me now, wherever he was. I hoped he knew that his words had made a difference, that they'd helped me understand, that they'd set me free. I thought about Claire, about her apology and her growth and her determination to be better. I was proud of her, prouder than I could say. I thought about my mother, about her tears and her regrets and her unwavering love. She wasn't perfect, none of us were, but she was trying, and that was enough. And I thought about myself, about the girl who'd been banned from Christmas for being too weird, too awkward, too much. She was still there, inside me, but she wasn't alone anymore. She was surrounded by people who saw her, who loved her, who celebrated her for exactly who she was. I pulled out my phone and texted Claire, "Best Christmas ever. Thank you." She replied immediately, "Best Christmas ever. Thank you." I smiled, tucked my phone away, and kept walking. The snow fell gently around me, soft and peaceful, covering the world in white. This was my life. This was my family. This was my peace. And it was beautiful. Thank you for listening to this story. If it resonated with you, if it made you feel something, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more real-life tales, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who might be sitting alone this Christmas, wondering if they'll ever belong. You will. I promise. It just takes time and courage and the willingness to keep being yourself, even when the world tells you to hide. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And never forget, you are enough. You always have been. The family that couldn't see you doesn't define you. The love you find along the way does. Good night.